Generally, if you're looking for phones under rupees 30,000 in India, you are inundated with options. Which is why I recently made the video recommending the best phones under 30,000 rupees. If you haven't watched that yet, go check it out. But in general, if you look at the market under 40,000 rupees, there are very few good options out there, and you can just pick and choose ones from whatever's available. Which is possibly the reason why I'm actually shooting this video after, I think, 4 or 5 months of previously making the best phones under 40,000 list, because very few launch anyway. However, in this edition of the best phones under 40,000 list, there are some very interesting additions that I think that you guys might have overlooked. So if you're in the market for a new phone and if your budget is under 40,000 rupees, you're at the right place. And I'm Ashad, if you don't know me yet. And this is Trakin Tech English, your destination for detailed, incisive gadget reviews. Alright, I'm going to start off with an underrated phone in this price range, and that is the OPPO Reno 14. The thing about the OPPO Reno 14 is that it is a very well-balanced phone. Firstly, the design is pretty good. It's got the typical iPhone kind of design with a flat back, flat sides, and flat front as well. And of course, it's got IP69 rating, it's got Corning Gorilla Glass 7 eye protection, so all of those things are taken care of. But more importantly, I like the display because it's a fairly compact display. I wouldn't say that it's entirely compact like a 6.3-inch display, but it's a 6.59-inch display. It's a 120Hz AMOLED panel with 3840 Hz of PWM dimming rating, and the peak brightness can go up to like 1200 nits, which is not that great, but still not bad at all. And of course, you do also have support for HDR video playback on YouTube and Netflix. Internally, it has the MediaTek Dimensity 8350, definitely not the most powerful processor in this price range. In fact, possibly the most underpowered one, but still, it's not too bad if you ask me. And the storage type is also UFS 3.1. You get a large 6000 mAh battery and 80-watt charging speeds as well. So it's a very well-balanced approach to making the phone. But what sort of sets it apart is the camera experience, because what you get is a 50MP primary camera with optical image stabilization. You also get an 8-megapixel ultra wide, which could have been a larger sensor, but still this is fine too. And you get a 50-megapixel telephoto camera, which is a 3.5x zoom camera. And even the selfie camera is a 50-megapixel selfie camera with autofocus, no less. And the kind of shots that you get is pretty good, especially in daylight. You also get excellent portrait mode shots as well, and even the selfies look damn good. The only problem is that the low light performance could have been better. And another thing with the Reno 14 that I really like about it is definitely the software experience. Of course, it's currently running Color OS 15 based on Android 15, but it is definitely going to get Color OS 16 as well. And I've already made a video about it. If you haven't watched it yet, go check it out. It's a very, very good update. Plus, the other good thing is that OPPO is promising 5 years of OS updates. By the way, there's one con in the Reno 14 that you guys should know about is the fact that it doesn't come with NFC support. So if you actually go to the offline market, you might get a very, very good deal on this phone. So definitely worth considering. Now, the second phone that I'm going to be recommending is the Samsung Galaxy S24, which has been relaunched during the Diwali sales with Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. The S24 is a proper flagship phone, but it's the only compact phone that I'm recommending in this price range because it's pretty awesome. So because what you get is a glass and metal design with Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 protection on the front and the back, and you also get IP68 rating as well. You get wireless charging. You also get a proper 3x telephoto camera. So this is a complete flagship experience along with Samsung's very good display quality. But what actually makes it flagship is One UI. Of course, no doubt about it. And Samsung again promises like 7 years of OS updates, which is fantastic. Of course, when the S24 with 8 Gen 3 launched, it would have launched with Android 15 out of the box. But then Android 16 is definitely coming soon, and then you'll get further updates as well. Again, the camera experience is something that's going to be flagship grade with a proper triple camera setup. And the kind of photos that you can get with it is going to be Samsung S-Class level, right? But let it be known that since this is a compact phone, it has a tiny battery. It has a 4000 mAh battery, which I think a lot of people will have a problem with. But that's the trade-off that you have to make if you're buying a small phone. And you also get slow charging speeds with no charger inside the box. So keep that in mind. Now, if you can live with it, and if you want a flagship experience at a good price, then the Samsung Galaxy S24 with the 8 Gen 3 could be a good option. But the 8 Gen 3 is still a pretty decent processor if you ask me. And by the way, a lot of people are wondering that the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 inside the S24 would probably throttle. Well, it does throttle because it's a small phone, but it doesn't get hot, which is good. The next phone that I'm going to be recommending is the Realme GT7, which by the way was also in the previous under 40,000 list. Now, before I talk about the GT7, if you have watched the video till now, I'm sure that you like the kind of recommendations that we make. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button and give us your support. It's very, very important for us to keep making such content for you. Now, Realme markets the GT series as a gaming oriented line, but trust me, the GT7 is much more than that. Because if you take the display, it's a 120Hz AMOLED AMOLED panel with LTPO technology, which is a rarity in this price range. And this phone is a proper battery monster. It's got a 7000 mAh silicon carbon battery with 120 watt charging speeds with the charger inside the box. Plus you also get IP610 rating. The stereo speakers are really good. And surprisingly, for a gaming phone, you get proper triple camera setup with a 50MP primary, a 50MP 2x optical zoom periscope camera, and an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera. And there's a 32 megapixel selfie camera as well. And the kind of photos that we got with it were actually pretty good. Now, as for the SoC, what you get is a MediaTek Dimensity 9400E, which is also very, very performant. So overall, the balance is tilted very highly in the favor of the GT7, but there are fundamental problems with the camera experience, and there are a couple of things that we wanted to highlight. The first thing is that selfies are kind of inconsistent. They could have been better, and you also do not get 4K video recording with the ultra wide angle camera because it's an 8 megapixel ultra wide, and plus there's no autofocus either. That's where the cost cutting has happened. Now, if you want a camera experience that's better than the GT7, the Vivo T4 Ultra could be a good bet for you, because like the GT7, you also get a triple camera setup with the T4 Ultra, but what you get is 3x optical zoom lens. And the kind of photos that you can get with the T4 Ultra is pretty good because it's almost at the level of the V series, right? Because it takes all of those Vivo, algorithm features and gets that to the T series. That's not it. It's also performance oriented. So you do get a MediaTek Dimensity 9300 Plus, which is of course not as good as the 9400E, but still pretty good for a Vivo phone in this price range. And I do like the design a lot. It looks pretty cool. Apart from that, you do get an AMOLED 120Hz refresh rate display with 5000 nits of peak brightness. Of course, with HDR support on both Netflix and YouTube. You get a 5500 mAh battery, 90 watt charging speed with the charger inside the box. All of that is definitely great. But if you buy the T4 Ultra, you will have to contend with the fact that there'll be tons of bloatware pre-installed or unnecessary apps pre-installed, and it's running FunTouch OS now, but I'm definitely sure when Origin OS comes in, you guys will be like, that's fine, this is still great. So yeah, in the anticipation of Origin OS coming to the T4 Ultra, it is definitely a great recommendation. Now, the next phone in my recommendation is the OnePlus 13R, which is going to be my de facto recommendation for most folks. Now, the 13R or the R lineup in general is gaming oriented or performance oriented, but this time around OnePlus has made a fairly well-rounded phone. Firstly, what you get is a very good display with 4500 nits of peak brightness, Dolby Vision, HDR support, and you also get 2160Hz of PWM dimming. And of course, it's an LTPO 4.1 AMOLED panel. And of course, you get the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 inside the 13R, which is the same as what you get with the Samsung Galaxy S24 as well. Now, this time around with the 13R, you do get a telephoto camera too, 2x optical zoom, which is good enough. I mean, the 13R is not going to be recommended for great camera experience. For that, I would suggest something like the T4 Ultra or the S24 or the next phone that I'm going to be recommending. But what the 13R does is very good optimized performance along with very clean Oxygen OS experience. Of course, Oxygen OS 16 is going to come really soon, which in this entire list is possibly one of my favorite experiences. I think One UI will be at the top, but followed by Oxygen OS. Now, my final phone recommendation for phones under 40,000 rupees has to be the Nothing Phone 3. Now, you must be like, Eshad, it's available for 80,000 rupees or 75,000 rupees right now online. Well, I mean, you guys know what happened with this phone, right? I mean, it was such a drama, I must tell you guys. Like, it went down to like 36,000 rupees for people to buy. I mean, I don't know what Nothing had planned with the Phone 3, but whatever they had planned, I mean, they could only sell units when it went down to that price, it looks like. Because for that price, for the 40,000 rupees price range, the Nothing Phone 3 is actually a very decent recommendation. Because what you get is the Snapdragon 8S Gen 4, which is almost, as good as the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. You also get this very, weirdish design, but you get all of the other flagship staples, like a proper 3x periscope camera, IP68 rating. You also do get a fairly large 5500 mAh battery, which is larger than the European variant of the phone. Fairly decent charging speeds, but with no charger inside the box. Wireless charging, all of that is definitely present on the phone. And a very good Nothing OS experience with Nothing OS 4.0, Android 16 also coming really soon to the phone. Now, when I had initially reviewed it, it had problems with the performance tuning. The camera had a few issues, but now it's definitely improved over time with updates, and that's really what happens with Nothing phones in general. The updates actually make it better as opposed to many other phones where the updates sort of nerf a lot of the features, which is nice about the Nothing Phone 3. And at 40,000, it's definitely worth recommending. Not my top recommendation because, again, you can't find it for 40,000 rupees right now, but at some point in the future, you're definitely going to find it for 40,000 rupees. So when that happens, maybe you want to wait for this phone if you want to back a brand like Nothing. Would you? Let me know in the comments. All right, so those were my recommendations, my top 6 recommendations for the best phones under 40,000 rupees right now. Now, there is one thing that I must definitely mention is that there are other phones like the OnePlus Nord 5, the POCO F7, the iQOO Neo 10, all of which have the higher end variants available in this price range as well. So maybe you might want to consider that over the other phones. However, I feel like these are more flagship kind of experiences at that 40,000 rupees price range. With those phones, you will get a little bit of a compromise, primarily because they're also trying to target that under 30,000 rupees price range, which is what I mentioned in my previous video, and I've added them to my previous video. All right, so what did you guys think of these recommendations? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep tracking and stay safe.